It's a new year. Is it time for a new career? If you're resolving to land a job in 2017, you better be prepared since analysts are predicting a strong job market in the year ahead. Joining us with tips is career coach Roy Chen. Roy, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, you're very welcome. Nice to meet you, Shelby.
Yeah, great to meet you. So you have a lot of great advice. We're going to get to it in a second, but I want to know, what are your tips on what not to do? What are common mistakes that job seekers make?
Well, you know, it's interesting. I am an optimist by nature. I don't necessarily think that people make mistakes. My belief is that they either don't know enough or they just don't know what they need to be doing. So first step, make sure you do your homework. Research the company, research the people you're interviewing with,
right.
So that you know enough about them to dazzle them. And then you're also able to ask important questions during the interview process. Never fake it, because it will catch up with you.
Ah, interesting. And you also say, connect the dots. What do you mean by that?
Companies are notoriously lazy. So when it comes to preparing for the interview, you need to think about, what are they looking for? How do my qualifications best align with their needs, their interests? And how am I going to add value to this organization? That's what hiring managers are looking for.
And lay it out for them.
Absolutely. So they have absolutely no opportunity to think about you in a different way. You want to spell out for them exactly what you can do for them, what you can offer them, so that that will allow them to achieve even greater success.
And you mentioned roadblocks.
Yes.
How should people approach those? Well,
roadblocks are sort of obvious to many of us, not necessarily those of us when we're interviewing. And what I mean by that, have folks who are objective look at your resume. It could be, they're the whys. Why did you make this decision? How did you end up here? And more often than not, it's the why nots. I noticed that you've hopped around a little bit. I noticed that you maybe didn't get your college degree. Be prepared to address what is really obvious to most of us. So that way you're not going to be immobilized or set back in the interview over stuff that you should have prepared for in advance.
And expect that people will read your resume. I know a lot of people who don't think anyone reads that. Okay, let's get to the stuff that people should do. What are your big tips for people, especially if they land an interview?
Listen, quite frankly, the devil is in the small stuff, and if we're not paying attention to what's happening, we end up sometimes not saying the right thing, not really listening to what is on the interviewer's mind, what they're needing, what they want you to tell them. And as a corollary to that, I refer to this as the parent problem. When my clients who are parents of young children go into interview, often they will talk over the interviewer. And you've got to be really careful about that, because that's an interview killer.
And asking questions, I'd imagine, goes along with that.
Sure, absolutely. You better have good questions, yeah.
Right. You also say be authentic. As you said earlier, it'll catch up with you.
I encourage my clients always to over-prepare, to overthink, but never over-rehearse. Okay. And the reason why I say that is when you come across as robot-like or on point without any sort of spontaneity in the interview, there's no genuineness to the experience, and the interviewer sort of catches up on that.
Like a little too smooth.
Absolutely. I have a client who is terrified of interviewing. She has all of the right credentials, Ivy League school, great graduate degree, terrific experience, but she over-prepares and over-rehearses, so when she goes into the interview, it doesn't sound like she is comfortable in her own skin.
Huh, that's a really interesting point. Yeah. And you talk about value proposition.
Absolutely.
What is that? Lay that out for us.
Well, companies need to know that you are going to add value. So at every point in the interview, in that conversation, you need to be able to demonstrate that your being there is going to make a difference. Yeah. So that you can from the very start, do something that is going to show them that they made the right decision to hire you. So whether it's illustrating through stories that you demonstrate your success, numbers, metrics, whatever it is that you might have done that will show the interviewer that your being there is going to make a difference. It's going to move the dial.
Those are fabulous tips. Thank you so much for being here.